I'm keeping the videos short so they don't keep crashing. But yes, I forgot to say that I don't know about the Muslim versus non-Muslim war, but what I realized yesterday was that if there is a rapture, and if there are lots of people who genuinely have heard about me, have seen the evidence that something has been time traveling because I've been able to have a conversation through time and space, but clearly it can't just be me who's done it. Obviously there's a big group of people that are listening to me and have been telling people that I'm Christ and that they've helped find the angels or the singers, or helped inspire them. I don't know why you've ignored me for 12 years. I don't know why you needed this much proof. I mean, you didn't. You should have just seen the proof that I saw back in 2013. I was convinced within a couple of weeks. In fact, I think it was a week. It took me a week to be convinced that I was God. I found out on June the 13th that I was Christ because my name seemed to link to everything. I had a 3-day kind of insanity of just seeing lots and lots of evidence and being like, shit, I'm Christ, but I don't even believe in Christ, so how did that happen? It became too much, so I calmed down. And then a week later, in July 1st, for probably about a 2-week period, again I started seeing more and more things, but this time I was a bit more aware of what I had not taken religion seriously at all before then. But after June the 13th, I started to take religion a bit more seriously because I saw evidence that I was Christ. But it took me 2 weeks basically. It took me from July the 1st to July the 14th to accept, you know what? I'm not just Christ, I'm God. I didn't know about Aaliyah at that point. That was on October the 10th, and Darla I found out on August the 14th. So it took me a couple of months to work things out, but I was able to accept it within such a short period. I guess you wouldn't have experienced that because whatever was going on in my head, my head seemed to be linking to the computer. Things that I would say, things that I would ask, the questions that I had in my head when I would watch a video, that person would be literally talking about the things that were in my head. And it became clear that whatever was going on in my head was linking to things that were being said on the videos I was watching. And I was literally having some sort of conversation. You wouldn't have known that because you wouldn't have known what was going in my head. And when I didn't know how to expose it. I wasn't even posting things on Facebook back then. But I knew that when I was listening to the singers, the first thing that happened actually is when I met Martin in March. I started listening to a bunch of songs, and I was thinking about the sort of 3 days that we met each other or knew each other, and every single song seemed to link to that conversation. And it was almost like the people who were singing these songs knew exactly what was going on during those couple of days, and knew exactly what he said, knew exactly what I said, and they were just recreating it in songs. I mean, that happened beforehand, but that didn't make any sense. Like, how did that happen? I thought I was going to be on Big Brother on June the 13th, and when I wasn't, that was when I was incredibly angry because I wasn't got on that. And that's kind of what sparked this this wake up of shit, I'm Christ. Because it's not possible to have an event and then listen to songs that literally talk about the event that just happened, even though the songs were probably written 10 years before. But that is what happened. Strange things were happening in that build up. And then the build up happened, but it took me a couple of months, but I woke up quite quickly. And then I just spent the next 12, like 5-6 years just saying yes no, because you see so much evidence, and then you kind of forget what the evidence was because no one's helping you. No one's able to believe anything that you've gone through. No one gives a shit about what you've gone through. They're all going on about how they love God, but they don't know anything about me, and yet you can't tell them that because they say, well, no, that's just what your belief is. Don't insult my belief. And it's just like you're just.
When are we going?
Soon, half an hour. And anyway, when this rapture happens, when this rapture happens, what has occurred to me is that if there are loads of Christians that do believe that the Galactic Federation is helping me, that they're working with me, that they've just been working with me to help inspire songs and to help give messages to people, to help tell people stuff, when they start believing this and using me as evidence that there is some sort of timeline that we're all living in a computer. That's why the Galactic Federation, that's what you need to say about the Galactic Federation. The Galactic Federation has been working through me to prove that they exist. They have been showing things that prove their existence through me. Really, it doesn't prove their existence, because I'm saying it's all me that's doing all of this, but you need to change the narrative and say, no, it's actually a group of people, I'm just not aware of that, or something. And then once people believe in that, they will start wanting to believe, who are these people? Obviously, they're living in a different world. If they're living in a sort of matrix world, then maybe they do live in some sort of inside the computer, and their world can be anything. They can live in a huge utopian paradise full of amazing stuff, because if you actually show 3D images of cities that you've created, and you can upload your soul so that you go to there and you can go and live in paradise where you can just ping and have a spaghetti bolognese in front of you. They would love that. I would love that. Spaghetti bolognese. No, I would love to have the power to just point and have spaghetti bolognese in front of me. But yeah, the thing is, when this starts happening and a lot of people are going in the rapture, if there are people who are bad, who are terrorists, who are completely mad, who still believe in Muhammad, it would be so easy to kill them and say that they wanted to go. You could even get an AI image of them saying, I've chosen to go on the rapture. Technically, when it comes to the rapture and lots of people going, a lot of people are going to start going missing. Now, if there are people who are bad and terrible and causing a danger, or likely to burn churches, or I'm hoping that there's some sort of check on people to see who is the ones that are most likely to destroy buildings, to destroy architects. I was walking around a museum yesterday, and all the paintings were really nice and gorgeous, but I noticed they were all of white people. It was about European pasts, and yes, they were all white. But again, if you've allowed loads of sort of criminal, mad, mentally ill Arab people into this country, they have no respect for any of our history, or they might just look at that painting and say, oh, it's from 1400. This is just a picture of white people. I don't care. I want to burn it. That's the sort of thing that they've done. I've seen them do it. Arab people have burnt down Egyptian stuff, or Jacob's tomb or something, and other articles, just because it's not of their God. That's not Allah, so I'm going to burn it up. There are some people that have this really disgusting view, and I hate them the most. And they might not want to go to this other world. They might not want to go to a utopian, because their view of a utopia is just a desert where they get to control people. I don't know. But I know there are some really, really bad people, and I don't know if they'd even want to go in the rapture. If lots of people are going and the world is becoming a little bit more empty, they might actually choose to stay. But at the same time, if they did just disappear, it would be quite easy to start saying, oh, they wanted to go. That's so. I'm wondering why the Europe is inviting so many of these people into our country, but I'm thinking, maybe they know that when the rapture starts happening, it will be so easy for people to go missing, and for people to think that they genuinely chose what they chose. If there are millions of people, or if there's a billion people who are literally choosing to go off and live in the matrix, in world of paradise, through this sort of matrix, then if there are also a billion people that don't go by choice, but you say that it was their choice, it's probably going to be believable. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I put that in know that